Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Beauty Is Show. I am your host, Crystal Garrett, and we learn how to apply makeup right here on this show. So today's look is all about the pink, the hot pink. It is springtime, and I'm about to shoot some video footage for Choose Life, which is one of my other businesses, and I just wanted to come on and show you this look, and maybe you can duplicate this look in the future. So if you want to learn more about how to create this look, stay tuned to this video and I will see you soon. The first thing that I do is my eyes, especially if I'm doing a look that requires eyeshadow. But even if no eyeshadow, I always still start with my brows. So my brush is going to be my Brow Wow brush. And it's just a slanted brush. It's really small, and then it has a spoolie on the opposite end. So it's just really convenient for me to use this. It's one of my favorite brushes to use for brows. So again, it's just a small slanted brush, and what I normally do is take my Wonder Brow from Perfect Face, and this is in the shade Halle, like Halle Berry. And I just normally, let's see if I can get an up close picture. I just normally take, and as you can see, I love this product, right? I just take and dip a little bit in the brush and just on the tip of the brush. I don't put it on the side, just on the tip of the brush. So right there on that sharp tip of the brush is where I put my product, okay? Now, a lot of times I have to take and just swipe a little bit off of the side. That's how I make sure I don't have any product on the outside of the tip. And then I can also just use the back of my hand to grab more product if I need to. All right. So that's normally how I do that. And I just take and pull my eyebrow taut so that I can get a nice sharp line. And I don't know if you guys can see this really close, but my brows need to be tweezed. We'll do that another day. For my brows, I normally start at the bottom of the arch, or can I say the bottom of the brow, and work my way up the arch. And then back down the arch. Now I do not put product right here at the head of the brow. So let me just go ahead and break down the brow for you. Okay, you have the head of the brow, which is right here. You have the arch, which is the highest plane of the arch. And then you have, or the highest plane of the brow. And then you have the tail, which is that crisp piece at the outer corner of your eye, right? So I start maybe midway, maybe a quarter of the way. Again, work my way up my arch and then back down my tail. And that's kind of how I define my brow. And I do the same thing at the top of the brow. Start about midway. Work my way up my arch and down my tail and connect that. You see how I connect it? Now I am one of those girls who like a good thick brow. So if you don't like your brow as thick or as full, of course you wouldn't put as much space in between your brow, but just follow your brow line, okay, your natural brow. And then I just take and fill in everywhere else. It's almost like filling in the coloring inside the lines, right? In any areas that I make a mistake or if that's not quite the shape I want, you can just go in with your concealer, and we'll do that a little bit later, and clean that area up. Now is the time that I take any product that is left over on my brush and just very lightly stroke towards the head of the brow, okay? Then I take my spoolie end, and normally I bend my spoolie like so. The spoolie is very flexible, so you can use it straight ahead like so, or you can bend it like so. I like mine bent, okay? And the reason why is because I can take and place that spoolie on my brow just like so and just brush my brow, brush my brush into the brow, and then that softens that brow up, okay? And that's just the really simple way that I've taught a lot of people to do their brows. Okay, so we're gonna go towards the other eye and do the exact same thing. And I know it's really hard when you switch angles like that. The main thing that I want to do is to make sure that I'm holding my brush at the same angle on each eye, okay? That's going to give me a nice even shape. So sometimes you kind of have to twist your body into your mirror, and that's fine. Okay. And then back down my arch. Same thing on top. Start at about the quarter of a way towards the front, work my way up my arch and back down my tail. Okay, now it's time to fill in the color, fill in the lines. And you see I just made a boo-boo right there. It is okay because I can go in and correct that with my concealer. Now I'm bringing my product up closer to the head of the brow and flipping to my spoolie side, placing my spoolie on the brow and brushing my spoolie into the brow, into the head of the brow towards the arch, okay? And that's going to soften up my color towards the head of the brow. That keeps us from getting that boxy brow that you see a lot of people with. And anytime you need to go back and fill in any sparse areas, feel free to do so. This is your brow. You do what you want to with it. Okay. So now you can see, despite the messiness, because it's messy right now, it is, shaped nice, but it also is very nice and natural right at the head, and then it gets more profound towards the tail, and then that tail is really sharp. Now to enhance that, I am going to go in with my concealer, okay? So this is just a nice concealer. It's a wand concealer. It's one of my favorites. Again, it's also a Perfect Face product, and it's on a wand, as you can see. And I just take and place product on the back of my hand, and that's the product that I use to clean up the brow. Let's see, let's find my brow brush. I just use this concealer brush. It's just a flat concealer brush, and I like for my brush hairs to be nice and even. You see that? Really nice and even. That gives me an even application. This color is a little bit peachy. Now this is Mocha in the Perfect Face concealer, but it has a little bit of a peachy consistency. And I use the exact same technique, okay? This time I start at the head of the brow, just up under the brow. Again, I'm holding my brow taut so that I can see up under there, right? That's going to give me a nice crisp brow. work my way up the arch and then back down the tail. But I'm being very careful to make sure that the shape that I am applying my concealer in is the shape that I want my brow to be, okay? So this is one of the most important steps to me. Because the brows frame your face, and if your brows look kind of then the rest of your makeup is kind of thrown off. That's just my personal opinion. Then I take my brush in a flat motion and just follow that line that I've just created, right? And that is going to naturally blend out that concealer, okay? Now, I like to clean up the top of my brow as well. It doesn't have to be as defined, but I just like to go ahead and clean that up and shake that up as well. And I pay close attention to my tail. Now, because this makeup look is for a photo shoot, and maybe some other situations, I'm not sure what all we're doing today, but because it's for a photo shoot, I want my arch to be really strong. So I'm just going to take and define that a little bit more. And this is probably the thing that takes me the most time. It's just making sure that my brows are just the way that I like them. Now, that brow looks a little bit long on the tail. I like for my brow to be just on the outer corner of my eye. Okay, so I normally just line my pencil up with the outer corner of my eye, and you can see that break, right? You see this break right here? That's the tail of my brow right there. So I can just get rid of all that other. So what I don't want is for the tail of my brow to be boxy. Right here on the end, I want that to be a crisp line. So if I need to go ahead and adjust that, then that's what I do. I want to bring that to a point. And I do that with my concealer brush. So you see the difference? It took away that boxy effect and gave it more shape. And another reason why I like my brows really sharp is because I always wear my hair short. And my brows just do something. It gives my look an extra oomph. So that's what I like, okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing to the other eye. And we're going to do our best to make them look as close as possible, okay? That's one of the challenging things, but practice makes perfect. And I can already see that this brow is a little bit more full than this brow. And remember, we went in with my brow brush and made that arch more defined. I'll do the same thing on this side. But first, let's just work our way up and down, okay? Try to keep that line as straight as possible. I'm going to have to go in and fix that just a little bit, and that's okay. It's just makeup. Okay, so that naturally blends in that line. All right, it gets that line, that sharp line out from up under your brow. Just clean up around the top of the brow. And you can't see, but the same hand that I'm using to do this side with, I've just switched and turned it across my body. And I'm using the same motions, okay? Again, pull my brow taut so that I can see under there and try to make this tail come to a point. Now again, looking at my two brows, I can tell that this one is more defined and this one is not. Now for every day, mostly every day, this one is okay for me. But again, because I'm going to do photos and maybe videos, I need a little bit more oomph, right? A little bit more drama. So I'm going to take my brow wow and make sure that I give this brow some more definition, more shape, more volume. And clean up what I need to. And let's not forget to measure our brow, right? Not too bad. You see my break right there? Not too bad. So we can get rid of all that, right? Be careful. And just go ahead and give me my V back. All right, there we go. And this may seem like it's taken a really long time, but remember, I'm talking you through it. And practice makes perfect. But again, it is one of the things that takes me the longest time, okay? Because I like my brows to look a certain way. All right, so the next step that I normally do is just take a fluffy brush, a small detail fluffy brush, like an eyeshadow fluffy brush, and just blend all of that out. You can use your fingers, but I'm a brush girl. If you use your fingers, and even before you start your makeup, make sure that you always, always, always wash your hands. Because your hands, your fingers carry excess oil, and you don't want your makeup to have little fingerprints in them. I see it a lot. It shows up on photos, and I can see it in person. Okay, so take a peep at these brows. This one, okay, this head is fanned out a little bit more than this one. This one has a nice crisp line across, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and kind of define that line a little bit more on both. But on this brow, let's go ahead and fan that out so it's not so boxy. Really, really lightly. Okay. That's how we fan that brow out a little bit. You can also do it just by tapping right at the very head of the brow. But remember, we still have to add in our foundation. We still have to add in our eyeshadow and different things like that. So you can even save this step for last. Okay, so just patting just kind of blends everything out. Keep that in mind anytime we're doing makeup. And you may need to blend, but you don't want to move the product. If you just pat, it will naturally blend that out. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go in with my eyeshadow. One thing that I always do is I always just kind of close everything up and put everything back. That's just the pro in me, okay? Because if I don't, I'll have product all over the place. All right, so let's go in with our eyeshadow. Now, the first thing I want to do is to prime my eyes. So using my Becca, which is one of my favorite face primers, I'll take just a tad bit of that and dab across my eyelid because that primer really helps to get rid of the moisture, the oil, okay? Next, I'll go in with my favorite eye primer. Again, it's a Perfect Face eye primer, and it's called Sensational Eyes. I should know that, right? So it's just a Perfect Face brand. Okay. I normally take my fingers, my ring finger, place a little bit on my eye, pat it in, and I pat inwards with my finger because if you have eyelids that have lots of texture or wrinkle, little wrinkle eyelids, that will push the product inside of the texture or the wrinkles. And then I take my fluffy brush, the same one that I was using, and just buff everything out. And the reason why you want to make sure your eye primer is even, because if you have blotchy eye primer, then you'll have blotchy eyeshadow, okay? So be very careful. And I probably will need this again, depending on the look that I'm doing, because right now I'm just winging. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to grab a couple of colors and go with it, okay? Keeping in mind what I'm wearing and that I'm going to be in front of a camera. So the look that I want is kind of a soft but bold look. And I don't even know if that's going to be possible today, but we're going to see what we get, okay? So today I think I'll do my crease first, only because I want a really bold crease. So I'm going to start with brown, okay? I'm just going to start with let's see, I'll start with a wine color. So you can see this is one of my favorite colors to use. It's wine, and it's a Perfect Face eyeshadow. And I'm going to use my same fluffy brush that I've been using. I'm not one of those people that needs a lot of brushes for personal use. To have them is nice because you have a good variety, but I don't need. I don't find myself switching brushes a lot when I do makeup on myself. So I just take and add my color to my brush. I'm going to go in to my crease and just place my crease color right in my crease, okay? And my shape is already there. You can see it's almost like a triangle, because I want to lift my eye upwards, so my triangle is slightly pointing upwards. You see? So when I apply my eyeshadow, I always apply it in the shape that I'm going for. And I just pat until I get the consistency, the desired color that I'm going for, okay? So let's just go ahead and put that on the outer corner in the crease and just pat it all the way towards the inner corner of the eye. And that gives me my blend right there. And again, I'm shaping. You see I have my outer corner here, that upwards V. I take and I pat, coming around the eye slightly and then back down into my corner. Hopefully you can see that good. Just really quick pats. And again, the pat does what? Pushes that product into the primer, okay? Same thing on the other eye. Lift up my eye. Same angle with my brush. And this may take some practice for a lot of people, just learning how to apply their product in the same angle from each eye. I've noticed that I see a lot of people whose eyeshadow is beautifully applied, however it's lopsided, and that's the reason why. Because they haven't mastered the art of making sure that they're using the same angle. Okay, now I'm just going to take and blend that in by patting it around, giving me that nice shape. Okay, maybe add a little bit more to this corner. So I have my crease color going, and this is going to act as my transition color as well, okay? All right. So I have a good transition color, and I always keep a towel in front of me so that I can just wipe off my brushes. And that's how I don't switch brushes so often. I just take and wipe them off on a towel. Now keep that in front of me. And that pretty much just cleanses my brush off. So let's keep it simple and go with just almost like a coppery color. A cross between a pink and copper. It's called Brush with Fame. And it looks like so. Okay. So I'm going to add that onto my brush. And just right over my eyelid, apply that nice shimmery color. Again, I'm pressing that into the eye, okay? And then it just kind of blends out by itself. Do the same thing with this eye. Press it in. And blend it out, okay? All right, so this is not popping the way that I want it to. So I just take a little bit of the eye primer, use my primer brush, and add more primer right on the eyeball area. Now remember how earlier I said if you have blotchy primer, then you'll have blotchy eyeshadow. So this is going to be a prime example of that because I'm adding on more eye primer. I'm going to put that eyeshadow color right on the top of this eye primer, and it's just going to make it pop. Because it's going to be it's like going to be real bulky on there. Not bulky in weight or heaviness, but bulky in color, okay? Now, what I'm doing is making sure that my eye primer is in the shape that I want it to be, okay? So it's going to naturally blend out into that shape because I'm doing what? I'm patting it into shape. Make sure that your shapes are even. If you go up higher on one lid, make sure that you even it out by going up that same distance on the opposite lid. Whoops. And we can say whoops because we make mistakes and it's only makeup. You just make adjustments. All right, here we go. Let's go back in with that color, and this time I think I'm going to try my concealer brush. I'm just going to use that. All right, here we go. Let's pat that in. Just on top of that eye primer. You see what a difference that makes? All right, other side. All right, there we go. Okay, now there we go. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is intensify that crease, okay? So that crease color, I'm going to take a darker color, a black color, and I'm going to use more of a detailed brush for that. So this is just a small detail brush. This is a Perfect Face brush. I'm not sure if it's on the website, but it is a Perfect Face brush. All right. Now I'm going to take Jet. I don't know if it's Jet Black or Jet on the website. I'm going to take Jet and place that right in my crease. On my brush, I'm going to put the product just on the tip of the brush, not on the sides, okay, just on the tip. Now here we go. I'm going to take, remember these angles now, and I am patting. Now just on the outside there, and just on the outside here. Now my goal is to make a sideways V. Okay. And that's going to help my shape. It's going to help my overall look. And I want the outer corner to have the most concentrated color. So that is why I am just applying the product to the outer corner, and then we're going to just blend in everywhere else, okay? Now, I'm going to take this same fluffy brush and just blend that out using windshield wiper motions. Make sure you wipe that brush off to get all that that lid color off, because it's kind of shimmery and it can dim that black. All right, so that's normally how I work the outside crease. Just like any other time, this is makeup and we can make adjustments. This is really just a patting motion. Okay. This side looks a little bit darker and has a little bit more shape than this side. So I just make my adjustments. Like so. Okay. All right, let's get in a little bit closer and do my blending. And I'm just using windshield wiper motion. Okay, and blend this out. There we go. All right, so this is what we look like next, okay? feel like I got makeup on my hand. All right. I'm going to take that same detail brush and use this same black as an eyeliner. I am really not an eyeliner type of girl, like under my eye. I normally don't use an eyeliner pencil or anything like that. I normally just use my shadow. And I take my shadow and just connect that outer V. And I like to use a brush and shadow because I can blend it and then it looks really natural. And I can use different colors. Today I think I will maybe add a purple in there just for dimension, okay? All right, so I'm gonna add this purple. It's called Wisteria. It is also a Perfect Face color. And it's just gonna give me a little bit of dimension. And I'm gonna add that towards the inner corner of my brow. Of my eyelid. Under my eye, not my eyelid. Y'all know what I mean, okay? So then I just kind of blend all that in together. And it just gives me a little bit more dimension, add some color. I love color. Now then the fun thing that I normally do is if I do something like that on the bottom, a lot of times I'll take and incorporate it on the top lid somewhere. So I'm just going to take that same brush, add a little bit of that wisteria, and just outside of the crease color, that dark black, where my transition kind of meets, I'm going to add just a little bit of that purple right in there. And again, it's just for color. And I know that I'm wearing pink, so I think pinks and purples look really pretty together. Then I take my fluffy brush and just kind of blend it together. All right. So that just gives me a little bit of fun stuff. So for now, I'm done with my eyes. I'll go back and do some fine tuning at the end of our application. So let's go ahead and start with my face, okay? Again, my favorite face primer for oily skin is Becca, and I have really oily skin sometimes. So I take my Becca, and normally, again, I'm a brush girl, but for my Becca, I like to use my fingers because I'm able to get inside of the texture of my skin and push that primer in. And I try to use my ring finger, especially around my eye area, because my ring finger does not apply as much pressure. So I make sure that I get that primer in all of my oily areas, and around my T-zone are all of my oily areas, okay? My pores are kind of large in these areas. And then if you're like me and you have smile lines, I make sure that I get that primer right up in those smile lines because our makeup tends to separate in those areas. Let's get this forehead and just around my brows. On a day that I feel really, really oily, I will use my face primer before I do my brows. And that way, I don't have to worry about my brows being oily and kind of rubbing off, you know what I mean? Especially if you're one that touches your face a lot. And because I use a brow gel and not a brow pencil, the brow gels tend to move more than the pencil does. Okay, so we have primed the face with the Becca face primer. I have a lot of texture right in here and here. Okay, now that I have my face primer on, I'm ready for my foundation. Okay, let's put this primer away. Now, here's the challenging thing for today. My Perfect Face Custom Blend Foundation is still my, I think it's still my summer formula. So I have not adjusted it throughout the winter. And here we are going into summer. So it may be a little bit off. And if it is, that's fine, because we're going into summer and I can adjust it. Or I can go ahead and adjust it using powders. Okay, so I'm not really worried about it today. Now, let's see what brush I'm going to use. A lot of times I'll use just a regular foundation brush. Okay, and then sometimes I will use a fluffy foundation brush. It just really depends on my mood or the day. No rhyme or reason why. Just depends. So today I think I'm going to use just my regular foundation brush. I place my makeup just on the tip of the brush, like so, from about here up, okay? And I start here, and I just pull down. You'll see what I mean in just a second. I'm going to get a little bit more foundation on the brush. So I apply just up under the eye, right on top of my cheek, and I just pull down. And today I'm just going to make sure that I'm pushing as well into those pores. You know, those pores that I have that are a little bit larger right now because I have not been diligent with my skincare routine. So my pores are saying, yay, hey girl, what's the deal? All right, you don't want to treat me right? Then I'll just stay wide open for you. Now remember, around my eye, we already have our eyeshadow, right? So I'm going to take and kind of angle my my foundation brush this way and just go under my eye makeup. And again, that shape, I'm keeping that shape, that V that's right here. So you see, if I do that, you see that V? I'm just going to keep that V. Don't mess up your eye makeup with your foundation. Adjust your brush. See? Okay, remember I was here? I'm just going to flip my brush and move my arm across my face and come here. Okay? Now, what I'm doing with my brush, you can do with the Beauty Blender. But because I'm normally moving really fast when it gets to my foundation, because I've spent all my time on my eyes, I normally just kind of go in with my brush and do the job of a Beauty Blender. I just blend with my brush. I will more than likely come back in with the Beauty Blender because of what we're doing. So the color doesn't look too bad. It matches perfectly. Who would have thunk? Again, I'm just patting and blending. So, you know, when you hear people tell you about all these different tools that you need and all these different brushes, you can make do without having all of those tools and all of those brushes. Although on this channel, I'll show you how to use everything, but I also recommend that you just do what's in your skill level and your budget. Okay? Now, just for everyday use, I normally don't take my makeup down my neck. As you see, I'm in such a habit of that, I haven't even thought about bringing it down. I'm just kind of patting. But for this camera today, whatever we're shooting today, I'm not even sure what we're shooting yet. I know we're shooting for my other channel, which is Choose Life. One of my other channels, which is Choose Life. But I plan on wearing a blouse that I just received from one of my vintage ladies. She always has some beautiful vintage wear. So I don't even know, I don't remember what the collar looks like or what the neckline looks like. So we may take a break really quick just to pull this top out of the bag so I can see if I need to bring my makeup down my neck a little bit. The neckline is just a nice scoop neckline. So yeah, I can bring makeup down my neckline. Let's do it. Put this over there. All right, so let's bring this custom blend down my neckline some to make sure everything is nice and even. And really just halfway down, just far enough to cover that discoloration, that little hyperpigmentation right here. And I may need to use a little bit of concealer, so we'll do that a little bit later. Okay? All right. Okay, so this is pretty much just like one coat of foundation. Because I'm going to be in front of a camera, I am going to add a little bit more foundation, because one of the great things about the custom blend is that it is buildable. So on those days where you feel like you need a little bit more coverage, like for me it would be today, you can add more coverage without it being heavy, without your second layer feeling like it is a mountain sitting on your face. And you can see how nice and soft this look is, and it's not heavy. It doesn't feel heavy. All right, let's just blend everything out. Pat it in so that it can dry. Being careful around those eyebrows. Watching that under eye area, being careful not to mess up that makeup, the eyeshadow. Okay, just patting everything in, doing the job of my beauty blender, right? All right. Just watching my hairline, and I am good. I'm okay with this coverage. So now my next step is to, see a little bit of blotchiness right here. And it's only because of my pores. So at this point, I changed the way that I'm holding my brush. I'm holding my brush by the bottom end, and that allows me to just move it really softly, like patting it, just really softly. So when I teach my professionals, I teach them one, which is close up. Okay, that's for like really applying pressure, applying a lot of product, being really detailed, okay? Then number two is like a medium amount of pressure, a medium amount of product. And then number three is the lightest amount of pressure and almost no product application. Okay, just blending. And that's one of my pro tips, okay? All right, so next thing is going to be, I start out with my powder. Now, I like to go ahead and start my contouring and things like that. And today I'm going to contour with just powders. Everything else I'm just going to use powders for, except for when I get to my concealer to brighten up some areas. So as far as my concealer today, I'm going to use a powder. And it is one of my Perfect Face powders, and it's called Brandy. And it's just a loose powder, okay? It's just a loose powder. And it is not, okay, one of my pet peeves about concealers is they look dirty. And I don't want a dirty looking face. So this Brandy is a nice brown color without that chalky, charcoal grayish looking color. Okay, now my concealer brush is going to be a Perfect Face brush, and this brush is the Give and Take. Okay, so it's fluffy so that I can blend it out, but I can also, if I wanted to, just pinch it so that I can have more detail. But I'm good with this because I don't like a straight line concealer. I like a nice natural concealer. So I take a little bit, and I mean a little bit, because this powder is very, very concentrated. Okay, it can be used as an eyeshadow, a contour, you know, whatever you need it to do. And I just normally tap and kind of swivel the product around in the cap, okay? And it's really light and airy, and you can probably see that. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but you can see that airiness of the powder, okay? Now I just take and place my brush right, what is this called? Right between my ear and my hairline, okay? And for some people it may fall in their hairline, but because I really don't have any hair, this is where I place my brush and I work on my shape, okay? And I just build up to the consistency that I want. So you can see that coming in. Now, if you don't know where to put your concealer, you can pucker up and line your brush up with your pucker back to the beginning of your ear. Okay? And then I just kind of blend that out. And I'm really big on shape. I'm really big on go ahead and making my shape the way that I want my face to look. I create my face. I create my shape. Okay? Same thing here. So I was here. I'm going to rotate my hand around. Same area. Because you definitely want your contour to be even, because if not, your contour can easily look something like this and your face will be lopsided, okay? So I'm here. I'm just going to rotate that around and create my shape. And then I just take and blend by placing my brush in my contour and lightly pushing upwards. And this contour is kind of strong. Again, I'm going to be on camera, so I need a little bit more color, a little bit more shape. All right. Now let's go ahead and shape that. So my shape is going to be like swooping around at this point. And I'm going to blend all this out so it's going to look nice and natural here in just a little bit. Okay, now let's go around this old forehead. Just going to pat this color into my forehead. Now, I know a lot of people always ask, how do I know what areas of my face to contour and highlight? I'm going to go in depth in a video. That may be the next video we talk more about how to know where to contour and where to highlight. So pretty much, let's just say that contouring is pushing areas backwards. Highlighting is bringing areas forward. So the areas that I want to kind of get rid of, I'm going to contour. The areas that I want to jump out at people, I'm going to highlight. Okay, so let's just keep it there, real simple. And here. Just really quick. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to contour is going to be my nose. It's one of my favorite places to contour. Love me a good nose contour. I'm going to use the same color, different brush. I'm using the all over it brush. It's a small, fluffy contour brush, okay? It's almost like a detail brush, but it's fluffy. I'm going to shape my nose, and I'll teach you guys how to shape your nose in another video. Because this one can be a little bit more challenging, okay? So as you can see, I've almost like totally changed the shape of my face with my highlight and my contour. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and blend all this in with my powders. Let's see. Trying to decide what powder to use. Today I'm just going to use a pressed powder. This is actually my pressed powder in dark. And it's just a translucent powder, okay? I'm going to use my favorite fluffy brush. It's just a small kabuki brush, okay? I'm going to swivel that around, and this color, again, because I'm on camera, I'm going to use multiple colors. Can you see the airiness of that product? Okay. Got the product on the kabuki brush. Then I just take and tap it on your desk or whatever, and wherever you tap it, when you tap it, that product that sits on top of the brush is going to go down into the bristles. So it's going to take you all around your face, and you don't have to re-up on your product unless you want to, okay? So because my dark is a little bit darker, I'm going to use that around the base of my face here. And I'm going to use that to blend my contour in and go on down my neck with that. And then I'll use it right here around my forehead to blend my contour out around my forehead. I'm going to use circular motions, and I'm going to do that on the outer portion of my nose to blend in that contour. Okay. So I just make sure that all of the lines are out. That's my goal. No lines, okay? Even in my hairline, no lines. Okay? Now, my next move is going to be my highlighter, which is the same contour that I use for under my brows, okay? So I'm just going to take and actually I take that back. This highlighter is a little bit lighter. This one is called Apricot. It is a nice peach color. Now I don't use this one alone. I like to mix it with my mocha. So I'm just going to add this just right in the those areas that I want to really highlight, but I'm going to blend it with the mocha. Okay, so here we go. Let's go in with that mocha. And here is where I'm going to use, I can say remember? Here is where I'm going to use my beauty blender, okay? So that we can blend all this out. There. All right, so my beauty blender, and I'm going to use my makeup setting spray, which is by Perfect Face as well. I'm going to spray that on my beauty blender. And this is what I'm going to blend with. I'm just going to pounce it. And I'm going to switch from side to side so that it doesn't dry out, which you won't because it's really creamy, but and again, I'm watching my eyeshadow, making sure that I don't mess up that V, okay? And then I'm just going to switch sides and hit my nose. Get rid of those lines. That's the main objective. And pat, 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 pat. Okay, just get rid of those lines and go under, go under that eye very carefully because I still have product under there, okay? All right, now let's just get rid of this line right here. And I'm doing that just by changing the angle of my beauty blender. And I want my highlight today, but I don't want shimmer, okay? All right, so my highlighter is good. Let's get rid of this line. I just turned it on its butt, okay? And I'm just, because there's really no product on the butt of the beauty blender. Okay, I still have my contour there. Now I'm all nice and highlighted. Now, what I'm gonna do is take a different powder, which is my still translucent, but it's in light. I'm gonna take that same brush and just set that highlighter, that concealer, okay? And I'm not really adding color because this is a translucent powder, remember? There we go. All right, so there we are. Next up is going to be some blush, just some finishing touches, okay? Some blush. Let's use, this is my henna. It's a loose blush. Okay, henna is its name. I like to use for my blushes. I like to use a fan brush. Okay, and I just add my color on my fan brush. Kind of swirl it around in the cap. Give a little pucker. And just lightly fan it across my cheeks. Just for a little bit of color. Just to make sure it's nice and blended. Now I may need to take my beauty blender, add no more product, and just buff that out into my highlighter. Okay, now my next step is going to be just to highlight my eyes a little bit. Now at this point I take a really tiny detail brush. This is actually a hide and conceal brush. It's a Perfect Face brush too, I think. And I take a little bit of a shimmer eyeshadow, which is again a Perfect Face color. It's called Princess. It's loose. I love loose powders because I can do so many things with them. I just take and dab the tip of this brush, tap it, and just on the inner corner of my eye, I'm going to add a little bit of highlight. And I try to blend that out too. I'm really a huge believer in blending because blending gives you a nice natural appearance. You have that oomph that you're looking for, but it's not just in your face. All right, there we go. So now I'm nicely highlighted. It's not all in my face, in your face, in everybody's face. One thing that I cannot stand is when somebody just puts a highlighter, boom, right there, and that's it. And I can see the roundness of the eyeliner. Of the highlighter. Just blend. Just blend. Just do it. It won't hurt nothing. Okay, so now if I do a little bit too much, which normally I do, I just take my fluffy brush that I was using earlier and work that all in, okay? Now, what's next? Next is lashes. If you choose to wear lashes, I just want a nice wispy lash, okay? Real simple. So these are just Ardell Wispies. I don't need all that. I just need to be able to look at somebody and for somebody to look at me. You know, people have a hard time looking at you when your eyes are heavy. All right, so let's just trim the lash. And we'll talk about trimming our lashes and all that good stuff. All right. So I'm going to trim on. It's hard for me to see. Okay, so I trimmed that one, so let's trim on this end. Kind of hard for me to see this lash for some reason today. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of lash adhesive. Notice I said a little bit of lash adhesive. We don't need the whole bottle. on one lash. Notice I said lash adhesive and not what, y'all? Not hair glue, not bonding glue, lash adhesive. This adhesive is the dual adhesive, okay? So I normally just do both lashes at one time. This lash doesn't want to cooperate, it wants to fall off. I only place the adhesive on the band of the lash, okay? We don't need adhesive all down the lash. We just need it on the band of the lash, okay? All right, let's close this up. Grab a pair of tweezers. Here they are. These are just my lash tweezers that I like to use. You can use any type of tweezer you're comfortable with. I like this Duo because it dries pretty quick. You want to try to trim your lashes to about the same length. It looks like I took one off, and it looks like we're gonna go with it today, y'all. Okay, let's start with this eye. And I like to be able to feel, and sometimes I can't feel with the tweezer. I can only feel what I'm doing with my fingers. All right, let's switch eyes. Yeah, we'll do a dedicated lash video so that we can learn how to apply our lashes, okay? Because I know I do this pretty fast. Now with my tweezers, I'll take and just seal the lash, the false lash, to my natural lash, okay? Be very careful doing this, because you can for sure go blind. Put your eye out, and we don't want that, okay? All right. So this look is almost complete. I'm not going to use any top liner today. Now, next thing I'm going to do is just add a little bit of mascara. Let's get my mascara out. Today's mascara is the L'Oreal Voluminous Mascara. There we go. Not sure if it's going to focus. And I'm going to add that to the bottom lash. On that side and this side. And the inner corner of my upper lashes. Okay. Now, to top off this look, I'm just going to add a hot pink lipstick. I pulled it on the first try. It's my very favorite one as far as pink, hot pink goes. It's Good Vibrations by Perfect Face. And normally, yes, I would use a liner. But I'm a sometimey girl. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And today, I don't.